My boss is the crown prince of the Beijing circle, recognized as the most difficult to pursue the flower of the high ridge. In order to help my boss get off the hook, I'm paid to offer my services to the suitors. Prince's daily schedule. 10,000 time. The Prince's real-time news. 50,000 time. Prince's room number. 200. 0 times. Many ladies of the world come here by name. And the business grows bigger and bigger. Just as I reached out, and was about to accept the bank card on the table, a slender hand pressed down on me. I told you why there are so many chance encounters lately. I was so focused on cleaning up after them that I forgot to clean up after you. One on the day White Moonlight returned to China. She sent a message in the company's small group. Who has Max's itinerary? 10,000 at a time? My eyes were glowing. I am Max's personal secretary. Who else would know him better than me? Numbly typed. Missy. My slave is at your service. The next second, I was pulled into a group. After reading the group message, I immediately felt that there was a crisis. I am Max's driver. Max will take my car wherever he goes. I'm Max's bodyguard, a 24-hour personal guard. I'm Max's babysitter. I know what he does at home. And I can even provide Max's preferences. Max's corneas. What about you? Seeing White Moonlight's question, I trembling light-eyed down a line. My identity is not convenient to say. To the group, suddenly quieted down. After a few seconds of silence, someone recognized me. Ella? You did this. Does Max know about it? I denied it in a hurry. I'm not. I didn't. You've got the wrong person. But before the message was sent, White Moonlight put out a price list. Prince's daily schedule. 10,000 time. Prince's real-time updates. 50,000 times. Master Crown Prince's room number. 200. 0 time. Master Prince's private photos. 5,000 apiece. Uncapped. It's as if I heard the sound of the god of wealth releasing the money. Silently, I emptied the chat box and replaced it with the sentence, "Can the old slave take them all?" 3. When I got back to the office, I started stealing Max's photos from all angles. Because it's the fastest way to get money. But White Moonlight is not as generous as I thought. She still has some brains. But she refused to accept any photos that were a little bit muddy and couldn't see people's faces. There's no way to get more money. In just a few days, my photo-taking skills have improved rapidly. Just a back view can be photographed by me, broad shoulders and narrow waist. Muscles in the shirt taught sense of power. I silently admired the results of my days. I have to say Max's face is really good looking, and it's not too much to say that it's a new bishop. Especially when stared at by those eyes. The heart felt as if it had taken an arrow. And the soul trembled. Click. 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 For what are you doing? Max suddenly glanced back at me. The eyes were sharp, as if he was looking at a private student. I gulped nervously, my hand holding my cell phone unconsciously clenched. Max hated it when people took pictures of him. I heard that when the new employee reported today, he was fired by Max, just because he stole a photo that was so pasted up that his mom couldn't even recognize it. My mom is still lying in the hospital waiting for money to save her life. I can't afford to lose this job. I tremblingly raised my cell phone up. Max. My horoscope shows that taking a picture with the leader today will be good for my promotion and raise my salary. Max sneered. Really? Are you sure you want to take the picture here? I looked up in confusion, and saw the little blue man lighting up behind him. And the male co-worker who was panicking and closing the door. Stiffly, I explain. And it's not impossible. The star sign only said I could take pictures. It didn't specify a location. And the restroom is Eiling. It's fine. Ella. Here. I instantly straightened my back. Get out. Good boss. 5. After I watched Max go in with a step or 3, I hurriedly crouched down in the corner to send a message to White Moonlight. How much is the exclusive private photo worth? As soon as this message was sent out, I could feel Moonlight's excitement through the screen. How private. I pursed my lips and weighed my words. Can determine the degree of your future happiness. $5 million. Fuck. I took a deep breath and touched my wildly beating heart. With my eyes closed, I rushed in. Hearing Max's voice was like seeing $5 million beckoning me. Taking pictures without stopping. I buried my head and rushed in Max's direction. As a result, with a bang, I was rebounded to the ground by a wall of flesh. 4 eyes met. Max was lying on the opposite side in a sorry state, looking at me with a black face. Some time after that, Max directly had my desk moved away from his office. And he didn't allow me to get close to him. There were several times when I tried to take pictures, but the bodyguards caught me. My cell phone's photo album was cleared with one click. I sighed as I hugged my phone regretfully, but I soon pulled myself together. Because Max's trips make money too. I'd sell White Moonlight for 10. Zorro and Green Plum for 20. 0 for the same trip. With the development of some more casual customers who want to marry into Max's family, I can have $100,000 coming in every day with the touch of my fingers. The thing I look forward to most every day now is going to work. But in contrast to my happy ending, Max's is a bit of a disaster. He gets hit everywhere he goes. His highest record is 5 times a day. One of which was a 7-car pileup. Every 3 steps, a woman would fall down and plant herself in his arms. He had to go out and talk to his brothers about this. Have all the women in the capital circle gone crazy? I snickered at the door of the private room. I don't know if they're crazy or not, but I seem to have found another business opportunity. Max is recognized as the flower of the Highlander in the Beijing circle, and several of his friends around him are either rich or noble. All of them are intolerant. It's the object that Miss Jing Circle dreams of linking up with. Thinking of this, I backhandedly sent the address of the private room as a benefit to everyone. In less than 10 minutes, the private room was stuffed with people. When Max came out, his face was gloomy, and even his eyes looked at me in an extremely unfavorable way. I quickly lowered my head and explained. There were too many of them. I didn't stop them. Max ignored me and went to the next hotel to open a room. Looking at him, he should be planning to wash up. After all, when those women went in, they were covered in all sorts of aromas. Max, who was in the late stages of cleanliness fetishism, simply couldn't stand it. I watched him go upstairs and a string of numbers popped into my head. $200,000. So I made a random excuse to leave and sold him again. Only this time I went with the bidding model. The highest bidder wins. In the end, the financially strong White Moonlight got the chance. The place of transaction was set at the cafe downstairs of the hotel. $10 million. Where's Max? I looked at the black card on the table that was glowing with gold light. So excited that my heart was about to jump out. Without hesitation, I answered, at the floor, Apazos in 88. As soon as the words left my mouth, White Moonlight reached out and held the black card down. I raised my head in surprise and looked at her warily. This one wouldn't be trying to blackmail me, right? She tapped her fingertips. I'll give you another $50 million. And you'll help me give this bottle of water to Max. My head felt as if it had been hit by a missile. And smoke came out with a bang. To be able to be Max's secretary, I still had a bit of brains on me. The water in White Moonlight's hand was obviously drugged. If this was known by Max, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to walk out of the hotel door. But this is $50 million. 7. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Bai Guang started to raise the stakes again. I'll give you another $50 million after this is done. 100 million is enough to secure you and your mom for the rest of your lives. As long as you watch Max drink this bottle of water, I'll take care of the rest. I forced down the joy in my heart and squeezed a few tears out of my eyes. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing it for my boss's happiness. Since you've said so, let's sign an agreement that makes it clear that you're giving it away voluntarily. Not that I want it. The corners of Bai Guang's mouth twitched viciously twice. Don't worry. This amount of money, I'm not so bad as to cheat you. Okay. I immediately took the bottle of water. Hoofed it back to the hotel. 8088's roomed or opened. But out is not Max. When I looked up to confirm the door number, the water in my hand was taken away. Max. Your little assistant is also strange goodla. In the middle of the night also come to give you water. The man just opened and drank a sip. The water bottle in his hand was snatched away by Max. If you want to drink, let your assistant go to buy it. The man muttered petty and turned to walk in. Why haven't you left yet? I watched closely as he opened the cap of the bottle with some disgust. A stream of water slipped from the corner of his mouth, slid over the rolling knot of his throat, his collarbone, and finally disappeared into the collar of his shirt. No matter how many times I watched it, I felt the awe in Max's every move. I'm afraid I'd do the same if I were a Kyoraku princess. Who can't love an ascetic cowl and flower? But between Max and $50 million, I still know what I'm talking about. After secretly sending a message to White Moonlight, I obediently pinched the resignation letter in my pocket. The money has been earned enough. It's time to run away. Just when I wanted to take out the letter of resignation, my wrist was held by someone. There was a blur before my eyes. When I stood still, I was already in the room across from 8088. The visitor's monitor on the door panel was clearly capturing White Moonlight pulling out the room card from her pocket, entering the room and turning off the room's lights. No. Max covered my mouth and gave me a shine. My pupils dilated as I watched in horror as White Moonlight walked into the room across the hall and closed the door. It was over. It was all over. Max's palm was getting hotter and hotter, and there was a faint vanilla vapor wafting from it. I unconsciously licked it. He jerked his hand back. What are you doing? Would you believe me if I said I didn't mean it? I blinked. Innocence written all over my face. He rubbed at his pants like twice in some disgust and walked over to the table to pour a glass of water. I looked at his face, which had suddenly started to turn red, and quietly backed away. As long as I got White Moonlight here now, things could still be saved. But no sooner had my hand been placed on the doorknob than my entire body was pulled with a strong tug. After the sky spun around, I landed on a large soft bed. I don't remember much of what happened after that. I only remember that every time I tried to run, Max would grab my feet. No matter how much I begged for mercy, it was no use. To the point where I didn't care that he was the leader, and cursed at him. When I woke up the next day, my voice was hoarse, seeing dozens of missed calls on my cell phone. All thoughts were lost. It was still the familiar cafe. Still the familiar people. I was just about to take the initiative to recognize my mistake, when I saw White Moonlight handing a black card to me. I hugged myself tightly in fear. Is this the money to buy my life? A trace of surprise flashed across Bai Guang's face. What are you babbling about? I apprehensively watched Bai Guang's expression. Yesterday. Roommate 1088. Oh, that one. Bai Guang waved his hand. Although I'm not sure what happened in the middle. But I understand that you wouldn't dare to lie to me. And I'm quite satisfied with that person in room 8088 yesterday. It's just that you didn't notify me in advance, making me unprepared. So I deducted a bit from the final payment I gave you. Do you mind? I shook my head in a hurry. But I didn't know until I went to the bank. She moved the decimal point from the 8th to the 7th place. And $50 million became $5 million. I was so heartbroken that I couldn't breathe and could only work harder betraying my boss. There is less of such a strong rival as White Moonlight. The ladies of the capital circle chase after me even harder. But the good times didn't last long. When I went to work on Monday, Max had someone move my desk back to the president's office, personally staring at my every move, occasionally giving me a grim smile when he locked eyes with me. I felt like he'd found out what I'd done. At lunch, I took advantage of his absence and slipped away a monthly schedule on the table. After leaving a letter of resignation, I rushed downstairs to my appointment. This is the last time. I'm leaving. Ms. Kyoraku nodded and very sensibly handed me my bank card. Don't worry. We'll never give you up. Recently Max has been cracking down on suitors and insiders. Auntie Lin, Uncle Lee and Brother Biao were all caught by Max. But it's good that they didn't give me up. So after this one, I'm going to wash my hands off too. Anyway, I've made enough small goals. I'll leave the next secretary to make a fortune on the knife's edge. I reached out for my card. As a result, the bank card was suddenly held down. Miss Kyoraku looked behind me with a terrified expression. I had a bad feeling in my heart. I suddenly remembered that I still have some work I haven't taken care of. I'll go back first. Max squeezed my shoulder and pressed me back into my seat. I told you that there are so many suitors lately. So the biggest one, the mole, is you. Seeing that the situation was not right. Ms. Kyoraku immediately betrayed me. Max. It was she who approached me to sell information. I know that you have always been clean. So I have never thought of you. And the information that I asked her to buy was all from your brother. I never intentionally met you by chance. Please be generous and don't take it out on my family. I opened my mouth, wanting to explain. But thinking back to Ms. Kyoraku's spending record in my place, I closed my mouth again. Max. I've already left the company. Only when a current employee of a company does something that betrays the company and the boss can it be called a mole. In my case, it can only be considered that I have outstanding personal ability and a ballsy channel for obtaining information. I pointed out the loopholes in his words with a straight face. In my heart, I was thinking, I've left my job. Who cares about you? Max laughed, leaned over and whispered in my ear. Ella, you signed a 10-year contract. You want to leave. Who approved it? Oh, I've been so busy cleaning up after them lately. I did forget to clean up after you. 11 Max grabbed me directly by the arm and slung me over his shoulder. I fought to reach out, but I couldn't stop the bank card from fading away a centimeter from my fingertips. Dry. Can't you wait until I get the money? I gave everything. Miss Kyoraku waved her hand sympathetically at me and tearfully reclaimed the bank card back into her bag. Like a stranded fish, I flopped back and forth on Max's shoulder in excitement. Don't move. There was a snap and the whole world went silent. My face felt like it was burning as I felt the slight pain coming from my buttocks. My mom had never even hit me like that. I struggled even harder, and Max's grip on me was hardening, so strong that it seemed to be crushing my bones. I suddenly regretted it. Max seemed really angry this time. He carried me all the way back to the office. As soon as my feet hit the ground, I immediately hugged his thighs and started begging for mercy. Max, listen to my defense. No, my explanation. I'm doing this for your own good. You're in your 30s. And you don't even have a female mosquito around. Mr. Hunter. When Mr. Lee and Mr. Wang were your age, they had 3 babies. Now the whole company is rumored to have problems with your orientation. I'm here to help you clear up the rumors. As the city's most outstanding young entrepreneur, how can you allow such a stain to exist? You're already at the starting line. If you don't catch up, when your child is born, you'll have gray hair and you'll have to call out for grandpa. Max suddenly laughed. And I laughed along with him. He seemed to understand my good intentions. Not only did he not bother with me about selling his information, he even instructed the HR department to promote my position to special assistant. I was instantly enraptured, but I still waved my hand in a reserved manner. Max, special assistant is not necessary. If you really can't bear to see me leave, it's not impossible for me to stay. Just raise my salary. Max looked at me and agreed to increase my salary by 20. And after completing the KPI appraisal every month, he would also give me an extra bonus. I was so happy that I almost jumped up, and was very satisfied with the result. I didn't realize that I was so important to Max. But soon I couldn't laugh anymore. Because the special assistant was working on 7 duty. He was also required to be on call. Max often called me in the middle of the night and asked me to come to his house to put him to bed. Grass. Rage drop. 12 Vela. I think I have to remind you. That vase in your hand is a palace product from the Qianlong period. It was worth $120 million when I auctioned it back then. And it should have risen to more than $200 million by now. Right? I pulled out a smile of embarrassment and resentfully put it back to its original position. Max. Don't worry. I have a very steady hand. I just saw that it was a bit dirty. So I wiped it for you. Well, after wiping it, continue reading. Today we will study the book Promotion Secret, How to Become the Boss's Indispensable Gold Medal Assistant. Okay. Boss. I'll do my best. It was hard to wait until Max fell asleep. So I hurriedly took all the books in my hands to the backyard and burned them. Being a cow or a horse is pathetic enough. But now I have to PUA myself every day. It's really hard to earn money. And it's hard to eat shit. I used a tree branch to pick through the ashes in the basin, confirming that all the pages were burned clean before I got up and patted the ashes. In my ears, I vaguely heard someone shouting at me. Following the voice, it turned out to be Max's little green plum. Is brother Max upstairs? I nodded and answered truthfully. Sleeping. Do you need me to go up and call him? Although I didn't really want to. If little Aomami could take Max away, I could take a vacation. Thinking of this, I immediately looked at her expectantly. Max has been under a lot of stress at work lately. And just before he went to bed he was saying that it would be great if he could go to your painting exhibition. You guys grew up together, and this is the first time he's been separated from you for so long. Zhao Qingmei's face immediately reddened. Did he really say that? I've been so busy with the painting exhibition lately that I did neglect his feelings. I thought he didn't like me anymore when White Moonlight came back. I quickly denied. How could that be? No matter how powerful the White Moonlight is, it can't be as powerful as the friendship you grew up with as childhood friends. Max has always cared about you. Aomami covered her face in shame and twisted her body around. It took a long time for her to calm down. I took her to Max's room and thoughtfully closed the door for them. What I said to little Aomami wasn't really a lie. Ever since Max found out that little Qingmei was going to hold a painting exhibition, he would spare an hour every day to go to the gym to jerk off his iron. And he often wore only a pair of bitter tees to wander around the house. This looks like he is studying hard in order to be little Qingmei's painting model. It just so happens that little Qingmei came to my door today. It's not too much to ask for me to take the initiative to advance the progress of the relationship between the two of them, right? This way, when they get married, I can also be considered a half-bride. Bridesmaids are required to take the bridegroom's red packet. I don't know how to give the new bride bonus to the rich family. Will they directly insert a bank card in the bonus? Thinking of another fortune. The smile at the corner of my mouth couldn't be suppressed. The bedroom was soon filled with commotion. Rising and falling screams paired with the sound of things being knocked off. That was some intense play. It's really worthy of being childhood friends, who grew up together. This relationship is not something that can be interfered with by others. Even if it's a white moonlight. Suddenly, I felt that the phrase "one day's absence is like 3 autumns" had materialized at this moment. I slowly moved to the door. And just as I pressed my ear to the door, I was slammed open with a burst of vigor. Hissia! I covered my face that had been slapped by the door panel and watched as little Aomami cried out and left. What's this? It's over so quickly? Little Qingmei didn't even strip off her clothes. Ella, get your ass in here. Max's stormy voice made me shiver. I pressed myself against the door and waved towards the bedroom. Hi boss. What can I do for you? Come here. Don't make me say it twice. I cringed in fear. Moving along the wall. Turtle speed towards the door. The moment I stepped into the bedroom, the door panel suddenly closed with a clunk. And no matter how hard I pushed it, I couldn't. I forced myself to calm down. Boss. You've slept for so long. You should be thirsty. Right? I'll go down and get you a glass of water. No need to go down. There's one behind you. This water was boiled last night. It's not fresh anymore. I'd better go down and pour it for you. My wrists were suddenly pulled by someone, and after a moment of heavenly rotation, my entire body was pressed against the bed, still face down. Ella, are you really stupid or not? But it's okay. I won't mind you. I felt like I was going to die. But Max still kept calling me baby in my ear and insisted me to answer his questions. Will you dare to stuff me with just any woman from now on? Huh? Speak. Since you have so much energy every day, I don't have to put up with so much. 13 later. I don't know if I passed out or fell asleep from exhaustion. Anyway, when I woke up, it was late at night the next day. It was as if my waist had been broken. There was an inexplicable emptiness in my kidneys on both sides. I looked at the dark ceiling and my first thought was to run. He's Max, the crown prince of the capital circle. The door is not right. Even if he likes me, there's no way he'll marry me. I'm not that out of my depth. And even if he can give up everything for love, I'm not willing to accompany him to live a miserable life. Packing up my things, I pushed the 2 large suitcases and left the door. Tale number 9898. City North Neighborhood. Please. Just as I got in the car, I heard a soft laugh from beside me. Baby, where are you going? It's not safe to bring so much jewelry. Do you need me to arrange a few bodyguards for you? My hand that was closing the car door lurched. I seem to have forgotten something. Master, you go first. I'll recall later. As soon as the words left my mouth, there was another familiar heavenly spin. Max has been incarnated as Teddy since he got a taste of it. Day and night. No stopping. The old man who has been single for more than 30 years is really not to be messed with. By the time I got off the bus, I had no strength at all and couldn't even lift my eyelids. He carried me upstairs to wash up. Before going to sleep, he also muttered in my ear, "Run again. Legs for you to break." But I didn't hear it. Thought it was a mosquito, and waved my hand impatiently. 14 I spent a whole week with my days and nights turned upside down, except for going to the toilet. I even ate in bed. My limbs were so sore and weak all day long that even eating was a struggle. Not to mention escaping. I don't know where Max got such a good stamina, fighting all night long, but still able to go to work during the day. It was amazing. I feel like I haven't seen the sun in a long time. There was a sound from outside the door. I thought it was Max coming back. So I didn't move. But after waiting for half a day, and not seeing him come in, I couldn't help but be a little curious. This won't work? No wonder the internet says that they're only tired cows, not plowed fields. A few days ago I was skeptical about the veracity of the statement for a while. Today I believed it. I walked out of the bedroom with my head held high and was about to make a mockery of it. Then I saw that the person who came out of the study was not Max, but Max's little green plum. She was also holding a cowhide bag in her hand. Sneaking towards the door, I remembered that the document was the bidding document for the renovation of the old houses in the north of the city. The neighborhood to be demolished is exactly the old house left behind by my dead father. Back then he cheated on my mom during her pregnancy and was hit by a car when he eloped with his mistress. The only property in his name went to my mom. Later, my mom became seriously ill and gave it to me. This time the demolition payout. It's Max who gave the most. The bidding documents must never be leaked. I was about to go up to stop someone when a wall of people stopped me. Max made a shoosing gesture at me and pulled me to crouch down in the corner. I understood instantly. Sympathetically, I looked at the little green plum's back. It's getting cold. And it's time for someone else to get cold. 15 after little Ayomami left, Max followed. For the next week, Max was very busy. He was so busy that he didn't have time to fuss over me. I went to an old Chinese doctor and prescribed a course of Chinese medicine. After drinking it, I felt like I had come back to life. I asked my girlfriends to meet me. So I went to the restaurant that has recently exploded in popularity to get high. I ordered a few, ate one and was about to tilt my head back to catch a lollipop from a male model's mouth when the back of my neck was pinched. Stop it. I paid for it. My best friend waved her hand at me with a sobbing face. Ella. I didn't feed you enough. Did I? Which one of them do you think is better looking than me? I pursed my lips. Max is the most recognized flower of the capital. You can't find anyone more handsome than him in the whole capital. These male models are fine on their own. But not when they stand next to Max. I tugged on Max's coat corner, trying to get him to move to the side. Can't you see the male models are afraid to come over? I've come here. I've paid my money. I have to experience the special programs before I leave. Don't you dare. I just put my head forward. My chin was pinched hard. Max blocked in front of me. His eyes are full of cruelty. It's over. During this period of time, I was having an affair with Max. And I completely forgot that he was the king of the living hell. When I first joined the company, just because I added an extra piece of milk sugar to his coffee, he forced me to drink milk tea for a whole month, making me gain 20 pounds. Although he and I weren't boyfriend and girlfriend, that kind of relationship was still there. This situation was kinda like the disaster scene of being caught cheating. I gulped nervously. Max. What a coincidence. Are you here to experience the special program too? Max sneered and grabbed me straight out the door, forcing me towards the car. Specialty program. Right? Come on. I'll play with you. You like lollipops? Open your mouth and I'll feed you myself. I was so scared that I cried and begged for mercy. No. I won't play anymore. I'll never play again. Grass. Who's a good guy who takes off his clothes when he eats a lollipop? Anyway, I've never heard of such a custom in all the years I'd been in the capital circle. 16. The next day I woke up to the ringing of the phone with a burning throat. The man on the phone said he wanted to make a deal with me. He would give me $500,000 if I plugged a USB flash drive into Max's computer. I hung up without even thinking. $500,000. To pay off a beggar. I am now a rich woman with a small goal. Do I need his $500,000? No, but the voice is not convenient to communicate. I asked for face-to-face communication. When the man pushed the USB flash drive in front of me, I didn't pick it up and stretched out two fingers to indicate. The man frowned, and there was some dissatisfaction in his tone. It's not good to raise the price temporarily. Is it? Hearing this, I got up and left. The man hurriedly stopped me. Okay. As long as you can do it, I'll add another $200,000 for you. I rolled my eyes. You can't even afford to buy a toilet with $200,000. How can you pay off a beggar? The man's eyes widened. You don't want $2 million. Do you? I rubbed my chin. I did think that 2 minutes ago. But seeing how quickly the man raised the price, it was clear that what he wanted wasn't as simple as a project. If I really screwed Max over, wouldn't I be out of a job? Forget it. I'd better not take the job. I just wanted to refuse. But the man gritted his teeth and said, okay, I'll give you a $2 million deposit. And after the job is done, I'll transfer another $5 million to you. My open mouth silently closed, secretly sighing. The money of the capital circle can be really good to earn. 17. After confirming the deposit, I returned to the villa. I personally cooked a sumptuous dinner for Max. When it was 6 o'clock, Max didn't come back. I was worried that the food would get cold, so I simply carried a thermos to the office to look for him. What brings you here? Max was clearly surprised in his eyes when he saw me. After clearing the office out, the way he looked at me started to become less innocent. I hurriedly opened the thermos in my hand to divert his attention. You've worked hard today. This is the loving dinner I specially made for you. Come and eat it while it's hot. It won't taste good if it gets cold later. He put down the chopsticks in my hand, wrapped his arm around my shoulders and headed for the restroom. There's no rush. I'll feed you first. lest you go out and find some unsavory wild men. Me. Well, 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 well. This wave is really a sheep in the mouth. But I'm enjoying it. Max in a suit uniform. You. Unlocking a whole new experience. After the crooked meal. While Max was eating, I sat down in front of his computer. Max. I'm copying something. What did you call me? I pursed my lips. My cheeks burning a little. Those terms of endearment were fine to say when the love was strong. But now that the clothes were on, how could I say them? This service is extra. Max smiled. $1 million for the baby. Husband. You're my real husband. When I heard the cell phone beep, I hugged Max's face and kissed him. Just one sound? I cleared my throat and shouted pretentiously. Hubby, you're the best hubby, 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 hubby. Baby branch is at $1 million. $1 million in the bank. $1 million in the bank. I don't know how many times I shouted. My mouth was dry before I stopped, looking at the extra $20 million in my bank card. I don't even feel like doing the job of copying information. I directly handed Max the USB flash drive in my hand. Someone offered $7 million for the stuff in your computer. Do watch and copy it. I'll split $100,000 with you when the money comes in. Originally I was planning to find a few random movies to throw in there. Cheat a deposit and forget about it. But I saw Max was in a good mood today. So I wanted to be lazy. Who's that guy? I rolled my eyes for a moment and lined up my fingers. The meaning was self-explanatory. And I felt sure Max would get it. As luck would have it, the transfer beep went off the next second. I smiled. I think it's Mr. Hunter from across the building. We can focus on checking out a new secretary he has with him. Max doted on my forehead. Little fortune hunter. I arched my eyebrows. Not caring. People die for money. Birds die for food. People change. But money doesn't. 18 after handing over the matter of the USB flash drive to Max to handle personally. I not only got the final payment, but also got an additional $200,000 in hush money. I accepted it with peace of mind.